Hello everyone. I'm going to go ahead and show you a little bit of my editing process of some photos that I took for my storytelling assignment. As you can see, my screen right here has a before and after. I'm going to show you how to get to the after part of this particular editing that I did. Thankfully, I have kind of this preset saved. I liked it for the nighttime and where I live. I've got that yellow that kind of comes from all the lights down in the city, and I wanted to bring back that blue that's in the sky, just to kind of balance off of that orangey kind of tint or color that's coming from the lights. So I'm going to walk you through a little bit of what I did, and so that I can get it kind of similar to what you see in this after. I had recorded another video and it just did not record my good old face so that you could see it. So I'm going to reset it and walk you through my editing process here on Lightroom. Hopefully you guys enjoy this and, take a quick look to see what I've done right here. So as I am doing things, I will go ahead and explain it. I just want to make sure I'm getting familiar with this all over again. It's been since yesterday since I edited. With this particular picture, what I saw with it, we went out. This is my brother, by the way. We went out onto this place called Scenic Drive. It's up in the Franklin Mountains where I live in El Paso. And it just gives a really beautiful view of the city that I live in. And El Paso, sixth largest city in Texas, which is pretty darn good. And just over this little line right here, roughly, is the border town that we're right next to of Juarez, Mexico. So I wanted to go up and kind of take a little shot of, living on a border town. So I want to edit it just a little bit because he's dark. I want to bring back some of the blue that would have been in the sky on a normal, not windy, not dusty day. We happen to live in a desert. So a lot of our days in the spring and summer, they end up being windy and covered with dirt in the air. So I want to bring back some of the blue that I saw in it. So as I was looking at this particular image on the histogram, everything's moved to the left because everything's got that bit of like black into it. It's darker. So I want to bring it over to the middle and try to get mostly everything that I have right here kind of shifted off to the left. Not the left, the right. I keep seeing myself on the camera. I want to move it over so that it's closer to the middle. All right, so we're going to mess around with it just a little bit and try to get this exposure just for one over here on the middle part of it. Now, the whites, I have them and I am dragging it all the way I possibly can just to make these a little bit more friendly to the eye, because right now currently they are very, very bright. If I go to plus 100, if I go just to 0, they're still really bright, and if I go to negative 100, those whites, they're not as blinding anymore. So the next thing that I kind of messed around with to kind of get that bluish sky is I chose a filter. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of show you how I approached that, which I thought was really fun. I had learned it watching some videos, and I thought it was really helpful. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of just get it started, and I really just want it to affect the sky. I don't really want it to, and I'll, straighten things up as we go. So I want to bring the temperature of it. It's very warm temperature when it should be blue, So I'm going to drag it over. I want that blue from the sky back. It was dusty. I don't want dust. I want to eliminate it. I know living in a desert is just horrendous. So I move the temperature over just a pinch, and I change the tint just a little bit to get a more richer blue. And then with the exposure, I can either darken it, which also looks kind of nice, don't get me wrong. I kind of like that look, but I also want it a little bit brighter. I want to see those clouds that are there. I'll I'll be nice to the clouds. We're going to keep them there. But play around with contrast. I want that to be a little bit rich with the blacks and whites that are in there. And then kind of mess around with the highlights and kind of see where I want it bright. I know it's nighttime. It's like 11:30 at night when we went and did this, but I want to bring them out. I don't want to shy away from it either. So I'm going to keep that near the middle. And do I want to brighten it that much? Probably not, but we're going to just move it over a tinge just so you can see it. Black, that really darkens it. I don't want to go too far with it, but I kind of like it right there as it is. So I'm going to get it that, and then there's this little line that I can drag either at the top or the bottom and bring it down a little bit more. So I'm going to bring that down a bit just so I can get more blue back in there. I like this little balance that I saw when I was editing some of these pictures. Is there's some cool colors at the top, and then there's, you know, that warm at the bottom to balance it out. I love how that came out, that little balance of cool and warm. So I kind of stuck with it. So I saw those particular things. Noise I wasn't particularly concerned about, but let's kind of go into editing some of this, and I want to show you just already the before and after that I kind of have right now at the moment, just so that you can kind of see it. The blue sky returned. I feel like it could go a little bit more navy blue if I really wanted to, but I just love how that came out, and it made a big difference in the image. This was just not doing it for me. I didn't really quite like it. Obviously it's straight from the camera, so you get what you get. So the next thing that I want to go ahead and do is I use this particular tool. It's an adjustment brush, and you can really focus in on areas that you feel that you need to touch on just a smidge, to make a little bit different, to brighten it, specifically just that, change color, exposure, all of those great things. So I'm going to work on my little brother here. I say little old brother, but he's the baby in my family. But he is a trooper. I'm going to move the exposure a little bit just so you guys can kind of see the change in it. And we'll adjust it as we need it. But yeah, my poor little brother. He usually goes out there. This time he had to go out with me. My little car just cannot handle going up the incline on this mountain. So he took his truck, and he was a trooper, got out from work, picked me up, and said, all right, well, let's go. And I cannot thank him enough for that. So I'm going to brighten his face up a little bit because I want him to stand out. And if you notice, I'm already brightening up his clothes a little bit. I want to bring him, like, there's that smidge of like artificial lighting on him when there really isn't. And I'm going to brighten up his little nose a little bit, just a pinch. So I'm going to make my brush a little bit smaller and kind of go right there by his nose, just so it kind of match what we have going on in the rest of the image. So the brim of his cap, just a little bit. He loves his cap, so can't forget that. Let's see, do we got the neck area? No. So we're going to go ahead and do that little part just to brighten him up a little bit. And like I said, with the exposure with this particular brush, I like it. You can make him as bright as you want, which, yikes, that's way too bright, overexposed. And then you can make him as dark or mysterious as you like. But I just want to brighten him up just a smidge. So I'm going to go with that. It's not a full point of exposure. I can change the temperature on him and make him more cool, which he looks a little sickly like that. And then if I do this, he looks like he's been out in the sun. Our city is called the Sun City, but not for that reason. So I'm going to keep that at 0 because I kind of like the temperature that's on him. I don't want to burn him color wise or anything like that. So we're going to leave it 0. We're not going to do anything funky to it. I just wanted to brighten him up. So contrast, just make that rich black and white on him just a bit more. Bring the highlights. Let's see what that does a little. It brings a little bit out to him, but it's not a significant amount. We're going to move it to about 50. Shadows, well, that makes him a little bit richer, but I don't know if I want to go that far with it. So we're going to leave it at about 35. Whites and blacks, that's going to bring him out a little brighter again. And then black, I don't want him that far deep in the black. I want him to look still like well lit, but also natural. So I kind of messed around with those mostly, and I really, really enjoyed that brush tool. Like, I thought it was fantastic. Now, another thing that I wanted to change is this part right here. And I feel like it needs a little bit of love because it's a bit dark, but I just want to focus on that. So I'm going to create this little fella. It's more like a circular radial filter. I was going to say circular filter, just does not really make sense there. And this little radial filter, I like how it works. Gives you some chance to edit some things, and let me switch it around. I want it just in that spot. There we go. It's going to focus on this particular area and darken it up, lighten it, do what I need it to do. I want to underexpose it or move the exposure down so that it's not blinding and dark. But I just want it on the city. So I'm going to kind of close some things around here, which I think helps out tremendously. So if I go a little bit right here, it's going to be super dark. I don't want that either. But I don't want it blinding me either. So I'm going to take it down just a notch, just so that you can start to see some of the buildings. Yes, are they blurred because this guy's in focus? Yes. And just so you can see a little bit and appreciate a bit of the bokeh that kind of happened. It's very subtle. But that's, you can see it a little bit better in the city. So change the contrast just to see what it does. Didn't really like it, so I kind of left it at 0. And some of these other things, like, do I want the blacks to be a little bit richer? It looks toasted and burnt if I go too far. I don't know if I really particularly want that. But I want to try to play around a little bit with the whites just to see what it would do. And at the end of the day, I wasn't really too impressed of what it did. I just want to be able to view the city a little bit. Just a little bit more. So right there is what I've got. I didn't mess around with too much more of it because, you know, I've already did quite a bit. But I want to show you that before and after and zoom out just a little bit. You've got a tremendous amount of things done without really being, 20-30 minutes of altering stuff. Probably the video is going to be long because I talked, but I had this, subject, my brother, lightened him up just so that you could actually see him, and that he's out looking, to the city that we live in, and this lovely border town that we have. I brought back that blue that was in the sky that would have been there any normal night. Did I make it the blue that I wanted? Yes. Normally this would be more of a navy blue, but the lights that we have do give off that orange look as well as it kind of enters the skyline. So I wanted to maintain that just a little bit as well. So there's my before and after, just to kind of show you a little bit of how I edited some of my images. And, a couple of them already have that look to it because I made a little bit of a preset. These ones are a little bit more purple in color, so I'm probably going to edit it just a bit more to have it look a little more blue. similar to the one that I just did. So just so that you guys could kind of see the process of it and what happened when I was doing my editing process. So small glimpse. Hopefully you guys enjoy it a little bit and got to see, inside my brain and actually see my face. So thank you. I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you guys in the discussion boards.